The top stories: Bogota's former mayor applauds Addis Ababa's rise as a smart global capital. And Ethiopian Foreign Policy Institute says Ethiopia aims to unlock developmental potential through regional integration. Hello and welcome to EBC World, the voice of Pan-Africanism, with the latest news highlights of the hour. I am Tabitha John. Do stay with us. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, Gideon Timotheos, held productive bilateral talks with several key counterparts on the sidelines of the first ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum in Sochi, Russia. Gideon met with Peya Mushelenga, Namibia's Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Morisanda Koyate, Guinea's Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation, African Integration and Guineans Abroad, Tete Antonio, Angola's Minister of External Relations, and Therese Kayikwamba Wagner, Foreign Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the discussions focused on strengthening cooperation on bilateral and continental issues with a shared goal of advancing mutual interests and fostering closer ties between Ethiopia and these African nations. Urban planning expert and former Bogota mayor Enrique Penalosa has praised Ethiopia's push to make its capital a smart world-class city. He highlighted that well-integrated infrastructure is crucial for a more efficient, sustainable and livable Addis Ababa. Johannes Fantahan reports.
A renowned urban planning expert and former Bogota mayor Enrique Penalosa has praised Addis Ababa's effort to become a smart preferred capital city. He specifically highlighted the city's corridor development strategy, emphasizing the vital role of a well-planned infrastructure in creating a more efficient, sustainable and livable urban environment.
I love Ethiopia. This is the third time I come in the last year. And I think there is a huge growth in Addis Ababa. I think there are very few cities in the world that are growing so fast at this time. And I believe that the efforts that are being made by Adanesh Abibi, such as, and in general, to make sidewalks, such as big sidewalks and bikeways, are very much in line with what has to be done in the good cities in the world. It must be remembered that what makes a great city is not that it has highways, but that it has quality pedestrian spaces.
Addis Ababa's corridor development is on the right track, he stated, commending the government's commitment to modernizing infrastructure and creating a more connected and efficient city. Penalosa further lauded the government's ambition to make Addis Ababa smart and preferable capital.
Half the road is for pedestrian and bicycle only. You could have greenways, like some roads only for pedestrians and bicycles, thousands of kilometers long, crisscrossing the cities in all directions. So this corridor project is a step in the right direction.
The government's vision for Addis Ababa aligns with the global trend towards smart cities, he said. By investing in technology, connectivity and sustainable practices, Addis Ababa has the potential to become a leading example of a modern, inclusive and thriving urban center.
Mayor Adanesh Abibi is doing sidewalks and bikeways and parks, but in the new part of the city where the city is growing, such as in Shagar, it can be even more radical, more easy, because you can do things that no city in the world has done before. That, for example, to have thousands of kilometers of roads have only for buses and pedestrians, or roads only for bicycles and pedestrians, or roads where half the space is for pedestrians. Paris or London or New York would love to do this, but they cannot. But Ethiopia can.
The Addis Ababa City Corridor development, since its commencement, has been changing the face of this diplomatic city of Africa and a set for different international and continental organizations. The city government is tirelessly working in order to increase the preferability of this city for conference tourism and tourism in general. Reporting for EBC, Johannes Fentahun, Addis Ababa.
Strengthening local and grassroots CSOs is crucial for boosting democratization and development in Ethiopia. The European Union has allocated 6.5 million euros for a 5-year program aimed at supporting these efforts. In addition, it has provided 50,000 euros each to 36 local CSOs across Oromia, Afar, Amhara, and Benishangul Gumuz regions to enhance their capacity and impact. 4 local CSOs operating across these regions have signed a memorandum of understanding to formalize their collaboration and efforts. Shagao Yamato has more.
The Welthangerhilfe is the largest international organization in Germany and has been operating in Ethiopia since 1972, registered as German Agro Action. WHH, along with other organizations, recently commenced a new capacity development program for local and grassroots CSOs under the EU-funded CSF Plus program in Ethiopia. Talking to EBC World, program manager at WHH, Mesfin Dagaga, indicated that the Welthangerhilfe Development Expertise Center Ethiopia and the consortium of self-help group approach promoters awarded first phase grants of 50,000 euros each to 36 local CSOs in Oromia, Afar, Amhara, and Benishangul Gumuz regions to strengthen the capacity of local CSOs for the overall democratization and development of the country.
Program designed to provide financial support, financial and technical support to the emerging civil society organization, as well as create an enabling environment to operate collaboratively with other stakeholders. For this, the program will work with the regulatory bodies like the Federal AXO and the Regional Finance and Justice Bureau, who regulate the civil society environment at the region. So recently, with the good contribution of the government to revise the old civil society governing proclamation, regional governments are expected to draft their own local bylaws and directives. This project will support regional regulatory bodies to adopt the federal proclamation and to produce their own directives, which will contribute to the operation of the local civil society organization.
The program manager urges the civil society organizations to play their fair share to tackle challenges facing the community.
The local civil society organizations should be the leading players to alleviate community problems, as well as contributing to the government policies and the directives. Yes, of course, the government might create an enabling environment. If there is no civil society that can exploit, utilize this the policy environment, that might affect the civil societies again. Therefore, working with the government counterparts to aware the different directives and policies, and to use even the development policy tools as well as the legal instrument might give a platform. These two, including the international organization, to collaborate.
WHH has extensive experience in supporting the fight against hunger and works towards sustainable food and nutrition security in Ethiopia.
Yes, today you're traveling with us to an absolute corner of Europe, because all the way in the east of the Mediterranean Sea, between Turkey and Egypt, is the beautiful island of Cyprus. This first place is called Saranta Colones. The arches of this castle from 1200 are still standing. Unfortunately, the rest of the beautiful castle was destroyed by an earthquake. One of the best places among the ruins, I guess, is always the stairs of the old theater, when you feel like you're inside the old Roman Empire. Beautifully preserved.
Welcome back. Deputy Executive Officer of the Ethiopian Institute of Foreign Policy, Abdi Zennebe, emphasizes a strategic shift in Ethiopia's foreign policy since 2018, aligning with Prime Minister Abiy's vision for growth. He reflects on Abiy's latest parliamentary address, underscoring Ethiopia's commitment to development through deeper regional ties. Tegusternis has this report.
Dr. Abdi, thanks for availing yourself from your very busy schedule, of course. Let's start off with you telling us a little bit about Ethiopian foreign policy.
Thank you for having me. The Ethiopian foreign policy, as you well understand, since 2018 has been witnessing a major shift, very much strategic shift. This is mainly guided by the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's Madamar philosophy, which prioritizes, as you know very well, synergy, coming together, unity, prosperity. These are major tenets that guide our current foreign policy. And in this regard, for example, Ethiopia aspires to create a very strong ties with its neighborhood. In this regard, Ethiopia has been working very hard to ensure economic diplomacy, regional integration, and infrastructure development, and other issues. By prioritizing the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia aspires toward this give and take policy, and mutual growth and other things are a priority. And besides this, Ethiopia, as you know very well, recently embarked upon major market liberalization, and this demands an assertive economic diplomacy. So the second most important issue that we are witnessing in this period is economic diplomacy, where Ethiopia attempts or aspires to attract foreign direct investment, get market access for its export items, and also expand its trade linkage. So economic diplomacy has been also one major point that differentiates the current Ethiopian foreign policy. And besides that, Ethiopia is also aspiring to diversify its partnership. Ethiopia works in a smooth manner with different global powers like the US, China, EU, and others as well. This has been also a major issue. And also Ethiopia plays a very important role at the regional level. While maintaining its strategical autonomy, Ethiopia works closely on areas of security, peace, and development across the sub-region. Ethiopia, as you know, plays a very critical role in the broader African peace and security architecture.
Ethiopian foreign policy clearly states that the country aspires to enhance regional peace. And as the Premier's speech just last week, Ethiopia is only trying level-based to achieve developmental goals through peaceful means. What's your reflection on that?
Indeed, it was a very interesting parliament session where our Prime Minister vividly elaborated the country's foreign policy orientation to both domestic and international audience. And in this regard, one of the most important, crucial elements for the Prime Minister and his government has been prosperity. Prosperity, not only economics, but our political development, good governance areas, and environmental protection, and other things are very much critical. The realization of all these things demand a closer collaboration with our neighbors. So Ethiopia always aspires to achieve prosperity, to achieve peace, and this comes only by increasing regional integration, collaboration with our neighbors. So the Prime Minister emphasized the importance and significance of working together, finding solutions by our own. If there are any challenges, we can overcome these challenges. The Prime Minister is known for his reconciliation approaches as well, and also his desire for the policy of, as he said clearly, in a give and take approach, where Ethiopia can provide a lot of different provisions for the region at large. And he wants to see also increase the level of interconnectedness among the Horn of African countries through different schemes, including electricity, clean water, road, and other infrastructures as well. And in return, also Ethiopia expects our regional partners to play an equal, mutually benefiting role. And this has been the emphasis. And Ethiopia would like to get support in order to achieve the betterment of the region at large. So the priority is regional integration to ensure prosperity. The priority is peace in order to ensure development of the sub-region. So the peace element is highly emphasized in the Premier's session last time.
Dr. Abdi Zannaba, Deputy Executive Director of the Institute of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, thank you so very much for availing yourself for this interview. We do appreciate it.
So thank you for giving me the chance.
And finally, the Pan-African Leadership Sawubona Summit emphasized the urgent need for gender parity in Africa's decision-making to address gender inequalities and uphold inclusive democratic values. With optimism and strategic ambition, panelists laid out actionable plans aimed at advancing women's leadership across the continent. Asgado Matnafu has the details.
The Pan-African Leadership Sawubona wrapped up, marking transformative moment in the quest for inclusive leadership and gender equality across the continent. Organized by Akina Mamawa Africa in partnership with leading women's networks, this summit brought together diverse leaders and activists to address, challenge, and reimagine Africa women's roles in leadership.
So the Sawubona is a space where we come together as leadership thinkers, leadership builders, leadership creators, to ask ourselves what can we do differently about leadership to be able to shape and inform the Africa we want.
Several influential leaders, activists, and scholars gathered in Addis Ababa for Pan-African Leadership Sawubona. The event united political figures, feminist theorists, policymakers, and young activists focused on advancing women's political agency and transformative leadership on the continent. The summit, hosted by Akina Mamawa Africa alongside partners like the Gender is My Agenda Campaign Network and UN Women, comes amid growing concerns over the pace of gender equality. According to UN Women, without significant interventions, full gender parity could take 300 years to achieve. Leaders at the summit voiced a strong commitment to altering the trajectory.
From over 12,000 parliamentarians in Africa, a mere 27% are women. And when we're talking about the representation of women in local governments, it's 35.5%, which means that a lot of efforts needs to be done to increase the women representation.
Despite significant barriers, many African nations are paving the way forward. Rwanda, for instance, boasts the highest representation of women in parliament globally. However, women remain underrepresented in executive leadership, with only 8 women currently holding up top positions as president, vice president, or prime minister across Africa. Among the summit's focal points was Article 9 of the Maputo Protocol, urging African states to take affirmative steps for women's equal participation in political life. Similarly, the AU Agenda 2063 and the African Charter on Democracy, Election, and Governance call for democratic values, justice, and women's leadership as essential to progress.
Now, in this slide, you will see how it looks for Africa, at least as of probably May 2024. In the lower houses of parliament, we had 61% in Rwanda. That statistic has gone up after the July elections to 63%. And in Nigeria, we have 61% in Rwanda, and Nigeria 4%. It tells us there is a lot of work to be done.
A strong message echoed throughout the gathering to overcome obstacles such as gender disparities and backsliding democracy. Africa needs a more inclusive representation in its decision-making. As the summit concluded, organizers and participants expressed optimism that the strategies forged in Addis Ababa would lead to tangible progress in women's leadership across the continent.
You're watching EBC World, a reminder of the top stories. Bogota's former mayor applauds Addis Ababa's rise as a smart global capital. And Ethiopian Foreign Policy Institute says Ethiopia aims to unlock developmental potential through regional integration. That's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha John. Many thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.